Hello and welcome to the Knitting Traditions Podcast. My name is Inga and this is the little corner of the internet where I talk about my knitting. Today is going to be a regular sort of show my whips kind of podcast, but it's also going to be a find your knitting mojo inspiration video based on suggestions that I got from you viewers on my previous podcast. So settle in if that's something you want to see. And once I have shown like my regular whips and everything I've been working on, I'm going to use my phone where I've saved suggestions from you to also talk about them, and then I will insert photos to give you some inspiration. So let's settle in. I got some tea. It's a nice rainy western coast of Norway summer day here. I am wearing my Kumulus tee. This is a pattern by Petite Knit. It's a simple stockinette summer tee. I've knit this in tin line from sandnesgarn, which is a visco cotton, a little bit of silk blend, I think. It's a nice summer yarn. Not my favorite. It does get a little bit stiff after washing, but it's very lightweight and nice and cool on summer days. And I really do like the V-neck construction, especially in the summer. Oh, I have to just remember to breathe. For those of you who didn't see the last episode, I am in my first trimester and feeling quite poorly. I am very dizzy and nauseous, so most of my time is spent lying horizontally, and it has affected my knitting mojo. So in the last episode, I asked for tips on what gives you inspiration or brings your mojo back, and I got a lot of good suggestions. One of them was to try another craft. So that is what I did after recording last time. I worked a little bit on sewing up this beautiful bag. This is a leather DIY bag kit from Babylon Leather. And I sewed up the side panels after the last episode, so I really do not have a lot left, but I am allowing myself to go slow with this project and just trying to be kind to myself, both with my knitting and crafting and all, just to work on things when I feel like it, and I'm finding it a lot more enjoyable that way. But I'm really looking forward to having this kit done. I've talked about it in the past, but I'll also put a link below. I'm an affiliate member, so if you're interested, you can check it out. Then I did put in just a few rows on my freyr sweater. This is my design. It's currently in testing, and I'm feeling a little bit guilty about not plugging away at this. This is my 4th sample, but with the nausea and the warmth, and I also struggle a bit with eczema, the thought of knitting on this woolly, warm mohair texture is just making me nauseous. So I've decided to, be kind to myself and not force it. But I did knit just a few rounds of the cable hem. Once my mojo improves, I will get back to it and work on the sleeves. There's instructions on how to do decreases with a cable needle, but I want to include a video of showing how to do the decreases without the cable needle for those who, like me, don't enjoy knitting with cable needles. So that is on my to-do list, but it's a no rush. It's still being tested, and the testers are doing a lovely job. So I moved on to going through the comments, looking for what feels like something that would work for me right now, something that I actually want to work on. And one of them was to work on something small, something stripy, like a toy. And I actually had a kit in my stash, a kit that I bought in Amsterdam, and I saved the scraps because I already finished this. So when I was in Amsterdam, I bought a kit for the Melinda Monkey by Hardicraft. And this kit included 2 balls of yarn, safety eyes, and stuffing. So you needed to have your own knitting needles, scissors, and darning needle, but the rest was in the kit. And it was these 2 colors and the stuffing. Now, I was a little bit worried that I was going to run out of either yarn or stuffing, but I decided to trust the process. And if anything, I had other yarns that could work for finishing or more stuffing at home. The yarn is Shepia's Stone Washed, which is a 78% cotton, 22% acrylic. And I kind of like the idea of working with a yarn that wasn't a warm animal fiber, just because of sensory reasons and nausea. So this was a good thing to work on. I'm not going to say that I loved the process of knitting it. Toys are a bit fiddly, but I did do some modifications. I can show you here. I made some modifications while knitting on this to make it more fun for me. If you're a long-time viewer of the podcast, you probably know that I prefer knitting in the round. I'm not a big fan of knitting flat, and I'm not a big fan of seaming. I have crocheted a lot of toys in the past. I haven't knit that many. If I have I knitted? I've knit one. I knit the niffler, but the other toys that I've made have been crochet. So I started knitting, not really understanding the pattern, and then realized after a while that I was knitting the body here and the head flat. So knitting one side, purling the other, doing increases and decreases. And once I had finished it up and seamed it together, I realized that this would have been so much easier and faster to just knit in the round on magic loop. And that way there would be no purling and there would be no seaming, except for like closing up the top and bottom. Could probably have done Judy's Magic cast on to avoid that as well. Oh well. We learn as we go. So knowing that, I decided to do the snout in the round on magic loop instead. And for the arms and legs, you can see there's a little bit of a difference. So this first one, I knit the hands flat and seamed them together. The other one, I used magic loop to knit in the round and did the decreases and shaping while knitting in the round. And I think this looks a lot better. So I used Judy's Magic cast on instead of just casting on flat, and then I knit in the round and basically finished all of these using magic loop, and Kitchener stitched together the top instead of binding off and sewing it together. The thumb I did have to bind off, and then I just mattress stitched over it to make it look seamless in the end. And I'm quite happy with how it turned out. And it is very cute. And Nellie does play with it. She's in a phase where she enjoys dolls and putting things into her little carrier, and she's pushing things around. So this was a nice little addition to the little knitted stuffy collection. So now I have a dog, a elephant, a sheep, the niffler, this one, and a little bear and dog that my friend knitted for me and Nellie. So it's a nice little collection. This definitely was much more of a finished thing than a project thing for me. It was fun seeing how it was knit together, but it was a little bit boring knitting 4 limbs. But I'm really happy with how it turned out in the end, and it was quite a quick knit. The pattern lacked instructions for how to sew on the ears, so I just did my best. It's not perfect, but it looks okay, I think. So yeah, that is the Melinda Monkey, the first sort of instant gratification knit based on your recommendations. Then the second thing was to crochet something. You know, try a different craft. Crochet is faster, you get more instant gratification, and I have a crochet UFO that I started 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago. I used Advent minis from the Grenouille Advent calendar from 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't live here at the time. I lived in a basement apartment under my aunt and uncle. And it is living in this crocheted basket, which I really want to make more of. Maybe that's on my to-do list for the summer, once I get over my aversion to textured fabrics or like tactile wools. In here is a simple granny stripe crocheted blanket. I found a free blanket pattern on Ravelry years ago, and that's something that I've been enjoying since the last time I recorded. I don't have a lot of minis left. In the Advent, half of them were in these sort of moody green, brown, and blue colorways. And then the other ones were more purpley pink, so I divided them. And the other one is supposed to be in another blanket, but that's even more of a UFO. I might even scrap it. But this one has come along. And I have maybe 3 minis left. Plus, I have some other scrap yarns in my stash from when I knit the Vertices Unite by Stephen West that I've also put into this, and I'm gonna have another go through my scrappy stash to see if I have other things that could work for this. It's like a fingering weight thing that I'm doing. One of the yarns that I've added is this green one, which is from the Wool Barn. I bought this in the UK, and it's a BFL 4-ply blue-faced Leicester. So if I have other fingering weight yarns, or even sport could work, I can put it into this. Let me see, I have rolled it up so I'm not going to lose my crochet needle. This is another scrap yarn that I'm currently putting in, and I'm using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. It's a size 6 tulip. I don't know if this is going to show up. Probably need to hide my face. But yeah, this is the crochet hook I'm using. It works fine. And since this is probably wide enough to cover a single bed, my initial plan is to just make it long enough to be a good sized baby blanket, and then we'll see if I'll add on more. It probably is almost there. I need a few more stripes, because if I finished it now, it would be very long compared to the width. Of course, it can be used this way as well, but I want more width to it. I picked it up. I had just started this speckled gray color, and then I added these 3 minis from the Advent, and now I'm using some scraps that I've also used down here in the past. And then we will just see how far we go. It's a very simple crochet stitch, very easy and meditative to work on, and it's really fun seeing how the colors add up. So this definitely has helped on my knitting mojo. Other people suggested working on a sock tube, colorful stripy yarn, and I already had one, so I did a few more stripes on the sock tube since last time. Not much, just a few stripes. This is the Stripy Cat yarns, one of the Harry Potter colorways. And I need to have, I think, 9 yellow stripes before doing the toe. And then there's just the heels left. And I will have some fun, colorful socks. So this is also like a simple, mindless, quick gratification knit that is also good for my mojo right now. I'm trying to just work on things that I would like to work on and not forcing myself to work on things that make me nauseous. So, I cast on something new. After the toy, I actually allowed myself to buy some new yarn. That was something else. People suggested treating myself to some new fun yarn, and I did just that. Other suggestions were to go through my yarn stash and reorganize it and find inspiration. I would love to do that, but if I stand on my feet for more than a couple of minutes, I get super dizzy and I cannot bend over right now. So that will have to wait until the second trimester and the nesting phase begins. Hopefully, I'll feel a lot better by then. So instead, I allowed myself to buy some yarn that made me happy. And I can show you the yarn first, and then I will show you the whip. So this is very bright for me. I am more of an earthy toned person. That's what I prefer to wear. But I do enjoy colors for Nelly especially. I think her colors are more of a spring kind of coloring. So she looks really good with bright colors and pastels. So that is what I got. Looking at this makes me happy. And the feeling of it is also very soft, not very tactile. And that's something that helps me right now. So I got these colors in Filcolana Arwetta. It's a 80% superwash, 20% nylon. I've used it for socks in the past, and I have sweater quantities for me. I really do enjoy the fabric. It doesn't feel superwashy, if that makes sense. Sometimes superwash can feel squeaky. This doesn't feel like that, and they have so many pretty colors. So I went for the most neon-y pastel-y colors they had. And I have enough to do 2 sweaters in this. I bought 2 pinks and 2 yellows, 2 blues and 2 oranges. I think these are very nice complementary colors to each other. And the plan is to make matching sweaters for Nelly and the baby, who's probably coming in January. We still haven't had an ultrasound, so I'm not 100% sure. Breastfeeding and everything makes it difficult to know your cycle, but we're thinking it's probably going to be in January. So having sweaters for not this winter, but the next winter. So we are planning ahead here. And as you can see on how far I've gotten, this definitely helped my mojo. I've almost finished a sweater. This is the Holger sweater by Petite Knit. I've seen a lot of people making this, and the suggestions to knit something for a child in bright colors and knit something stripy all kind of check the boxes for this one. So this is what I went for. I found another free stripy kids pattern on Ravelry. I'll see if I can put it up here if somebody wants to try something else than petite knit. But this is a beautiful design. I knit the 2 to 3 year old size, and then changing the colors around to make it a little less pink. I don't know the gender yet, but I'm going to do the orange and blue together for the stripes of the smaller size, which is 1 to 2 years. And then I'll put pink for either the neckline or the bottom hem, and then maybe yellow and green for the sleeves. We shall see what looks nice. I need to do the ribbing of the first sleeve and then do the second sleeve, which will be orange. And then the sweater is going to be done. Who knows, maybe I'll start the second one straight ahead. If it's still inspiring me, I will do that. I will let myself knit what I feel like during this stage of life. But yeah, this is the holger sweater, 2 to 3 year old size. The only thing that I would say is a bummer about this pattern is that there is a lot of ends to weave in. You cast on and then you instantly break your yarn, and then you're knitting the back and then one side at each time. So there's a lot of ends because you're doing stripes as well. So once I have finished this, I am going to have quite a bit of ends to weave in, especially on the top here. But it's all going to be worth it. So that is my current knitting mojo fun happening. I also got these 2 balls of yarn. I might use these instead of these in the 1 to 2 year old size. I haven't quite decided yet. This is Sandnesgarn Sunday, just slightly more muted and pastel-y than the arwetta, but they're quite similar meterage, if not exactly the same. No, this is 210 meters and this is 235, so almost the same. I am holding it double because this pattern calls for petite, and for some reason petite is, it's a 100% wool base from Sandnesgarn, and usually I'm all about the rustic wools and the minimally processed wools, but petite for some reason I find a little bit itchy. I prefer finull and unspun wools and other bases over petite, and seeing as I'm in a phase right now where I need something that's not as tactile, I opted for the arwetta held double instead. And it's going to work really well for a child's garment. So, to be honest, I haven't even checked my gauge. I went for the recommended needles. Even if my gauge is off, at some point this will fit because I am knitting ahead and I love putting oversized knits on Nelly. She has certain knits that she's worn from she was a newborn until now at 1.5 years old. So that is a great thing about oversized knitwear. You can wear them for a long time, even for children. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that whip, and already plans for another one. And I'm just letting all the other whips rest for now until I feel a bit better. But let's move into other suggestions that you all very kindly came with, and maybe it can help some of you. So the things that I saved are specific patterns that I was able to find on Instagram, and I saved them in a little bundle. Let's see if I can find it, that I just called Knitting Mojo. Okay, let's get started. So one of you recommended the Tulip sweater by Melody Hoffman. I have knit this in the past, both for myself and for Nelly, and it is already in my queue to knit another one for the baby. And specifically, I wanted to knit it in this yarn. I have enough of this to knit both something for a child and for myself. So this is unspun yarn from Hillesvåg. It comes in a roving where 2 strands are together. So I can either knit it up with 2 strands, or I can unravel it and use 1 strand with a silk mohair for a bit more durability whilst knitting. It does hold up really well once it's knit up, but during the process of knitting, it's more durable if I hold it with a silk mohair. It'll also be slightly more lightweight, so I'll have a little think about that and see what I decide on doing. I'll see if I can sit a bit more to the side so I can put the photos up here. The next was to knit something from Anne Wenzel. Anne Wenzel is a Danish designer. She has a lot of beautiful oversized garment designs, both textured knits and color work knits. I have several of her patterns queued. I just looked through it today and I saw the Carla cape, which was new to me. So I added this one to my list. It looks very cozy and it looks like a simple but fun color work that is done in stripes. So that is something I might eventually cast on. Then there was the Magna Flora. This is a summer tee that has lace on the yoke and the hem. So one of you said that this was like a go-to pattern for you when you needed to find your knitting mojo. All the photos that I'm putting up here are borrowed from Instagram, from photos that I saw after searching up your suggestions that gave me the inspiration, or a photo that I enjoyed. So all credits to the people who have posted this publicly. The Crochet was another suggestion to knit one of her Tolsta tees, a simple top-down tee pattern that is a simple knit, but you can add lace, color work, sky's your limit. And that is also been something in my queue. I don't wear a lot of summer knits, so that's maybe one of the reasons I haven't knitted, but I could add long sleeves to it and knit it for one of the other seasons. Who knows? One knitter suggested 2 patterns, which I believe was knit in either a worsted or aran weight, and that was the Crow Zone sweater and the Elwood sweater, which I believe the Elwood is from Vangi Knits and the Crow Zone is by Renee Click. Both of these are children garments, stripy, would be good stash busters, and that little bit of MOJO inspiration from knitting stripes and something small and quick, yet simple. So I really enjoyed those suggestions. Might just do the Crozon. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I thought that one was really cute. So I might knit that for the second baby. The cardigan Elwood sweater is also very nice, but I don't know if I want to be knitting back and forth right now. We shall see. Then the arboreal sweater by Knit Love Wool. I have knit other designs from her in the past. They're like beautiful colorwork yoke designs. This one is really pretty, so either this one or any other of her yoke designs is always in my queue for something I would like to knit. I find that circular yokes don't fit me as well, so that is something that makes me maybe not cast it on, but it is beautiful and she has so many stunning designs. So if you are one that likes a circular yoke for your body type, do check those out. And then somebody suggested the emotional support chicken. I've seen these around and I was able to hold one at knit to P2, and it actually was really nice to hold. So I might just have to knit a emotional support chicken for myself at some point. It would also be a really nice stash buster, and I could do some fun colors or soothing earthy tones, which is more my flavor. Then there were several simple like dishcloth suggestions, and one that doesn't look as simple but looks really nice is the ball band dishcloth. It kind of looks like little bricks, so that was a fun suggestion. Somebody suggested simple house slippers. Now, I like to knit the doble tovede tøfler, which is a free pattern from sandnesgarn. I have, I think, 2 or 3 pairs for myself, and Matthias has 2. Once he wears holes in the second pair, I will probably knit him another slipper pair. And then there was the grandmother's favorite dishcloth. This looks super simple and mindless and would be a good sort of like palette cleanser pattern. And honestly, it would be nice to maybe knit some more for when Nelly eats. She's a messy eater, so we always like wash her hands and mouth with a cloth afterwards, and maybe I should knit some dishcloths. I have a few from my grandmother, but maybe I should knit some myself. Then Miss Knits has a lot of pretty patterns. I've knit some of hers in the past, and she's one of my mom's favorite designers. And she has a cardigan that I found intriguing. It's her perfect little cardigan, and I really liked how it looks in her photo with the gray and like the color standing out. The other hashtags for that cardigan on Instagram, the color doesn't lie that way, but I really like how it looked in her photo, so I might look into that in the future. There was also a suggestion for her reflection shawl, which is currently in testing. It should come out tomorrow. Today is Thursday, and tomorrow is Friday the 11th. So according to her Instagram page, it's released tomorrow. Seems like a really lovely garter shawl with a bit of striping. Very intriguing. And then somebody suggested the half and half triangles shawl. I have knit 3 of this gigantic shawls in the past, and it is a very nice mindless knit. It's not a quick knit because there is a lot of stitches. It uses fingering weight yarn, and you knit a triangle and then you change colors and you knit the other triangle. So it is really fun once you get to like the second color, but it is a lot of knitting. So if I were to cast this on, I would need to be sure that the colors would inspire me, and then it would be more of like a long-term whip for me. But it's beautiful, and as the viewer commented, it would make a perfect baby blanket in the end. So it's in here, working its way into maybe my queue again. Then a lot of people commented Fair Isle. I don't think I'm currently in the right state of mind for Fair Isle knitting, but I have knit a Marie Wallen cardigan in the past, the chestnut. I love that design and those colors. I knit it slightly too small, which is a shame, and it was a lot of work. So I don't know how many years it will take me to find the inspiration to try another Marie Wallen design. But she does have one that I think is in DK or Aran weight. It's in Aran, and it is the Alnwick cardigan. And I think that one would be really nice in more like the chestnut colorways, like the more brown and greens. So that might just be something for the future, but we shall see. Don't like knitting colorwork flats, so might have to look into if I could do it and stick it. The Amy slipover is something that I have knit 3 times in the past, and I have yarn for a 4th one. Somebody mentioned it would be a nice motivating knit to do, and I agree, so I might bump that up in my queue. I want to do it in a burgundy. I have a dark gray, light green, and a brown one, and it would be nice to have a burgundy one. And then I was recommended to check out Anna Johanna, that she has a lot of great design techniques and like a mathematical approach to her garments. So I had a look and I saw one of her sweaters looked absolutely lovely. The Harma's sweater, it just looks so cozy, and I think I would want to have a light colored version like that and pair it with jeans for the winter. Maybe not this winter, being very, very pregnant, but future winters. So it's in my future queue. And then somebody mentioned the Beck's Pillow by Stephanie Erpel, and I thought this was very intriguing. It looks like a lot of fun, and the viewer commented that it was simple garter stitch, a miter technique, so not very difficult to memorize, and it just looks like a lot of fun. I don't know where in my house it would fit in, but I think it would look really good at the cabin in like some nice earthy tones, so might just cast on that in the future. Another design by the Crochet that was mentioned is her Tides cardigan, which is a stripy one. And I saw her colorful version and I do really like the look of it. I don't know if it's something I would wear like in my personal wardrobe, but it looked like a lot of fun to knit. I'm very much of a process knitter, so it would be fun to do a child's version in those bright colors, maybe. And then I was recommended the Knitonomy Pearl sweater, which is an all-over cabled sweater. I really like the look of it. It is beautiful. I don't know if I'm in the right state of mind to be knitting an all-over cabled sweater, but it is a gorgeous design. Somebody said that the Bloom dress, which is a pattern by Georgie Nicholson, is one of their go-to patterns for like their knitting mojo. It's a very sweet dress for a child with a bit of lace and a ribbon around the waist. So it would be something cute to knit up for Nelly for sure. Several people recommended the ranunculus. I have knit several ranunculus myself in the past, and I do agree it is a great, quick, entertaining, but not too difficult garment. If you're in a bit of a knitting lull, you can use very little yarn to knit it up. You can use lots of different types of yarn to knit it up. And I once challenged myself knitting the ranunculus with just one skein of silk mohair, and I did it. So maybe picking some special yarn from my stash and knitting a ranunculus is just what I need. I just need to be able to stand on my feet to go through my stash. And then somebody recommended the Nightingale sweater. This was a design featured in Pom Pom magazine, I believe, and already at that time I did favorite it. So it is something that I have been thinking of knitting. It is a beautiful, very interesting cable design. It reminds me a little bit of Lord of the Rings and the elves and like the trees that they have, that they live in the videos. Or is that in The Hobbit? Either way, very nice and intricate looking. Definitely something I want to have knit up at some point. Don't know when, but it is beautiful. And then I was recommended the Painting Bricks shawl, that it was a lovely design to use up scraps, and that the commenter got a lot of motivations from just pairing the different colors together. Sorry. So I saw some beautiful versions online, and really you can go in any direction with this pattern, whether you choose a light or dark yarn between the bricks and which colors you choose, a lot of options there. Several people commented something small for the baby, like a bonnet or something. I have knit several barely bonnets in the past. It comes both in fingering and DK on Ravelry. It's a free pattern and super cute. I used it a lot for Nelly, and I think I want to make more for the second baby. The Ankers onesie from Petite Knit was a recommendation. She has beautiful, timeless Scandi knits for children, so lots to choose from there. I don't think I will find my knitting mojo knitting a onesie with a lot of back and forth on small needles, but I would love to have either my mom or Matthias's mom knit it for Nelly or the next baby. And then the Isla shawl is from Biche Bouche. It's a beautiful little shawl with colorwork, and that is something that I could see be a nice little palette cleanser mojo booster. And then Saskia Co. has a beautiful colorwork yoke. The photo that I saved for some reason doesn't have a name, so I will just show you the photo on here. I thought it looked really pretty, but yeah, I don't know the name of this one. I just saved it. I was recommended the Uværslue by Strikkestoffe. It's the stormy weather hat in English. It's a really nice hat pattern for children. I have not knitted it, but it looks like a really good, like, double layer hat over the ears with ties for kindergarten children or just small children in general. So maybe that is something I will add to my queue for the autumn winter. And then the Oslo hat by Petite Knit was also a suggestion. I have knitted several in the past. I find I don't wear them as much. I find it a little bit difficult to get the right amount of fabric for the top hat because I have a small head, and I don't like it if it's too much fabric. But I also need to make sure I don't knit it too short so it doesn't fit. So not sure I'll be casting on another Oslo hat, but it is a nice simple knit in the round hat. I was also recommended the Musselburgh hat. I haven't knitted it yet, but a lot of people do enjoy it. So I might just have to try that at some point, where you cast on, knit a tube, and then decrease, and then you can fold it either way, and you can combine different yarns or do it in one color. Sky's your limit. The pressed flower kerchief is a free pattern. I have the pressed flower cardigan saved in my queue, I believe. The kerchief is a lot smaller and it's free. So I really like that suggestion. That is something that would be a nice little swatch even for the cardigan, just to see if I enjoy the mosaic knitting, because I do think it's knit with mosaic knitting. And the fact that it's free makes it very low threshold to try it out. So maybe that is something I should do. Then there's the Sandra's laundry line that was recommended. It's very cute, nice little Christmassy decorations. Knowing myself, I don't enjoy the process of knitting tiny things where you have to do increases, decreases, casting on, binding off all the time. I do enjoy a little bit of mindless knitting in the round. People are very different there. If you enjoy those tiny little instant gratification things, this could be a really fun project to do in December, for example. The Sophie scarf was a recommendation. I have a plan of doing the Sophie scarf for Matthias's mom. She is an avid knitter herself, but she did ask me if I could knit her a Sophie scarf, and of course I will gladly knit her a Sophie scarf. So that is the plan for this fall. I'll be doing it in this yarn probably, which is like a cashmere yak silk blend, wool blend. And I think that's going to be really lovely. And then there was a lot of suggestions for colorwork cowls. Now I have some colorwork cowl patterns. I have been wanting to knit another Selbu cowl, but one of the suggestions were for the Happy to See You cowl, which is the nice cowl with a lot of sheep on it. So that was a lot of fun. I don't know how it would be carrying the floats for that one, or if you would have to do duplicate stitching, but it is a very fun looking cowl. Little headbands were also suggested, like the Frida headband, for example, which is a really nice simple headband design. With my head shape, I find that a lot of things just ride up on the back because I have more of a flat back head shape. I don't know. So I'll probably won't knit a lot of headbands, but if you have the kind of head or hairstyle that suits headbands, this was a really nice simple one. And then the Spring Fever shawl was a suggestion where you could really play around with color, and it's just stripe mindless knitting. Really like that one. You can really make it suit your personal style by changing the colors. Another colorwork cowl that was suggested is the Weirwood cowl. Looks very Halloween inspired and could be a really fun design for the fall if you're a lover of Halloween. Native Knitter is a new to me designer. I was suggested to check her out because she has a lot of beautiful colorwork designs. Especially I recommended her cowls, but I see that she has some gorgeous garment designs as well that would be a lot of fun to knit up, like the sheep camp sweater kids, for example. I think I will add this one to my queue. And I just really love the colors that she uses. I was suggested another vest design, the Sophie vest. And that one was really intriguing to me. It looks quite simple, but just a little bit of texture, and then the buttons in the front. I think it would look really cute over like a white t-shirt or dress or something. And then the Thea top by Polystrict was recommended because it's a simple stockinette vest and just a nice mindless quick knit in general. The Ilana camisole was another vest suggestion. It looks like a really nice summer top with some beautiful tiny cables running on it. I think this looks really pretty. I myself prefer garments with a bit of a sleeve, so I don't know if I will knit this up, but if I were to knit a like strapped top, this one would be high up on my list. It is absolutely gorgeous. Just 4 more patterns to go. The Musselburgh hat, I already mentioned it, but I will put up a photo of a version that I really enjoyed up here. Baroque Pearls made this version, and I think it's just stunning. And then another hat pattern is the basic beanie. I was recommended this one, and that one looks like a nice simple ribbed beanie. I do enjoy nice simple ribbed beanies. I've made a lot of the watch cap hats by Pearl Soho in the past, and this one has a similar look to it. And then the Barely bonnet, I have it pinned again, so my memory obviously didn't remember that I'd already pinned this comment, but yeah, probably gonna be making that one. And then the Hexa Hug is a crocheted cardigan. I do want to try myself at crocheting a cardigan at some point. I don't have a lot of experience crocheting, but there are some really pretty crochet cardigan designs out there. The Hexa Hug is something that looks like it is a very quick project with very thick yarn and big crochet hook, so maybe that's a good starting point, and it looks really cute, so who knows. And I think those were all of my saved Knitting Mojo specific pattern suggestions. In general, there was a lot of recommendations to go through the stash, use a yarn that inspires you, something colorful, something stripy, something quick, and of course a lot of suggestions to just calm down, take it easy, don't force it, and be gentle. And I really am trying to do that, not force anything. I'm resting a lot. I'm hoping to feel better soon. I think I'm going to wrap this up now and go lie down. And I hope you're having a lovely summer. I hope that this gave you a little bit of inspiration if you ever feel like you need a little bit of Knitting Mojo inspo. And then I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye!